Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first CoffeeJug event in 2026. Yeah, and hope everyone already prepared for the event, especially prepared a warm coffee or tea, because today we have a pretty interesting topic, and I want to welcome our speaker, Orkhan. Thanks for joining us today. How are you doing?
Hey guys, hello everybody. I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thank you for inviting me to this event. And yeah, вітаю, друзі.
Nice. We will continue, of course, with today's topic. I don't want to take much time, but before that, I just want to mention a few things. Today is our online event, regular Coffee Jack meetups. And before jumping, it was to mention and acknowledge our general partner. It's the Armed Forces of Ukraine. And we are truly grateful for those who defend our freedom every day. And of course, everybody knows that only together, we can make a difference. So please support in any way that you can through donations, volunteering, or simply spreading awareness about this war. Because we should support those who defend our country against Russian aggression and their invasion. Thank you all. And also, it's not the first time when we cooperate with Help a Hero, a volunteering organization, initially based in Lviv, but of course connects volunteers across Ukraine. And during our online events, we're trying to fundraise some money and to raise some funds for Armed Forces of Ukraine for different purposes. Of course, today's hot topic, it's drones or equipment and other stuff needed for soldiers and for other defenders. You can find more information on Help a Hero website and their reports and currently active fundraisings. And if you want to support, please scan this QR code and drop any amount of money that you can share to support this fundraising. And of course, each donation starting from 200 or more during this quarter can you can have a entry for surprise. So please support this fundraising. Also, today is our 67 events, and Orkhan, you contributed to this growing amount of events, so thank you. And it's been about 800 participants during this time. So glad to see that community is growing and we continue to share interesting topics and experience. And also I want to say thank you for our organization team because behind the scenes they're trying to make these events happen and find interesting speakers with interesting topics. Also, don't forget to join us in social media so you won't skip any updates or about future events or other information connected to our community, or if you just want to rewatch a previous event. So let's keep in touch. And now I want to hand over to Orkhan. Don't want to take much time. Please go ahead.
Hello again, guys. So just a moment, and okay, I'm ready now. So today I want to speak to you about a journey that I have passed myself personally. Enterprise solutions architect mindset. The case is that this is, let's consider it this way. It's a general purpose journey that can be beneficial for any of you. If you are a developer, maybe a QA or product owner, if you are moving your career towards architecture, specifically in bigger enterprises and bigger companies, global companies. But I would like to speak from perspective of my personal journey because I have 23 years already of experience. And I started to work as a junior software engineer when I was 17. I was in university, second course, and that was my love, to start writing code. And I have gone through all that steps of growing, almost 15 years of hands-on coding, almost 10 years of high-level architecture work. And within these 23 years, I also have my almost last 5 years in management. I have grown from a software developer to a global technology leader in I would say, a huge company. I'm working for GlobalLogic, which is part of greater Hitachi group family companies, and it's just a big company with 350,000 people all around the world. And within all my career, I was always thinking about architecture being the point where I love to bring solutions. It's a creative thing for me, and that helped me to develop my career. At this moment, I can say that I'm an expert in enterprise solutions, enterprise architecture in various domains, and I'm leading digital and AI transformations for many years already. And I would like to share with you the story. The reason behind it is very simple. I'm working in my current company for 8 years, within the starting in almost 8, starting from 2018, and within this 7 to 8 years of my experience, I have mentored a lot of people. During the years, I have seen people that I have mentored become regional or global directors for different technologies. And for me, that was something personal. It means that my mentorship program really works. And I brought all this stuff that I have developed through years into this single presentation that I want to share with you, because moving towards to management actually takes me away from technical architecture, and it will be just I will be sad to lose all this information. And I decided to start sharing this with community in order to help maybe someone else also to grow their career. So to start the journey, we need to understand what are the roles in the architecture. And for myself, I specifically split only 3 roles in architecture: application architect, solution architect, and enterprise architect. The difference between them is very simple. Application architect are the people who are grown from developers, become senior lead engineers, maybe team leads, and they are making application level decisions, selecting frameworks, working with libraries. For instance, you can be a Java engineer or maybe some other tech stack. I'll use Java because I had 12 years of experience of Java, and this event, as far as I know, is Java event. But we can speak about other tech stacks as well. Let's stick to Java for now, for examples. And within Java, the application architect makes decisions which Java version to use, which framework to use. Will it be Spring? Will it be Akka? Will it be, I don't know, Vertex or anything else? Then you have the next level, solution architecture. This is where you do not think about Java. You don't care about Java. What you care about and what you think about in your day-to-day work is about system level decisions, how data flow will go in and out, how APIs will connect with each other, cybersecurity, exception handling, event buses, a lot of components that help you to build the blocks and components that build the whole system. And within this system, some of the services, some of the API services can be in Java, some can be in .NET, some in JavaScript, Node.js. You don't care. You are a solution architect. Your goal is to deliver the solution. You like this tech stack or not, that's nothing you think about. You think about the solution, your end goal, in time, within the budget. And then there is the third role, enterprise architect. Enterprise architecture is more related to business domain, industry. This is where you don't speak about technology solutions at all. For instance, take any industry, automotive. An enterprise architect in automotive or mobility industry will be an expert from automotive companies. Or an enterprise architect in finance, for instance, banking industry, will be someone with banking financial background, not a software engineer at all. And while this is true for business industries, we are mostly in technology companies. And if you are part of a technology software engineering company, in your case, solution architect will be someone who has grown out of, enterprise architect will be someone who has grown out of solution architecture role. These guys will know a few business domains. At the same time, they have to know the technology, because your main business industry and domain is software engineering. And here you also will have different types of companies. For instance, some can be service companies, like outsourcing companies providing software engineering services to other companies, their clients. And can be also product companies who are building these products. But it doesn't matter if you're in an outsourcing services vendor company or a product company. If you are in software engineering services, then these roles will be consistent and stable. And the interesting fact about these roles is that it's not a reporting structure. While in bigger companies, application architects will report to managers or solution architects, and they can also work with or report to enterprise architects. Usually these guys are not reporting to each other. They are working together. These are separate roles. In a hierarchy, there is a hierarchy between them who defines tasks for each of them. But usually it's not a reporting structure. So you can be pretty happy with just being an application architect, or you may want to grow to an enterprise architect. And now limiting this to software engineering industry, be it a services company or a product company, there always will be also client-facing roles. 3 roles. In a client-facing environment, especially for an architect, and by the way, let me return back to the slide. For this presentation, we are focusing on solutions architect role with exposure to enterprise architect, because as I mentioned, real enterprise architects will be business domain architects. But as we are in software engineering companies, I usually like to call this role enterprise solutions architect. And in most cases, we will be speaking about solutions architect role grown to enterprise architecture. And in that role, you will also work in a group of 3, it's not people, a group of 3 roles. Each role may have more than 1 people, but there always will be 3 roles. Sales role, the person who is responsible for legal and contract stuff, and this guy is always bringing the business requirements towards you. There will be always a manager who is responsible to setting up the team, hiring people, making sure invoices are billed and paid in time, and so on. And then there is the architecture role. This is the person who is responsible for technological, not only decisions, but assets and anything related to technology within the solution. And within these 3 client-facing roles, by the way, it also works for product companies as well in abstract version of this, also for vendor companies as is. I like to joke about it. Sales guys usually don't care about final solution. They just don't care about it. What they care about is to sign the contract, take the money. Management team, sorry for that, guys, but that's just a joke. Management team also don't care about the solution. They care about the headcount. They care about all that financial stuff, budgets. Architects are the only people who will be guilty if your solution is failed. Architect sketches the solution. It's usually a work for 1 or 2 months. After this, development team starts to engineer this solution. Architect can be there or can switch to another next project. If the company is big enough, you will switch. And as a result, you will find yourself in a situation when a year passes, the solution fails, and guess who's guilty? Of course, architect is guilty. Management and sales guys will find someone who is guilty. Sales guys will tell engineering management is guilty. Engineering management will tell that, well, architect was not here. He's guilty. And guess what? You may be fired. I'm joking. You will not be fired, but this is the core of my joke, that architects are the people behind the solution and the only people who actually have to care what will be the end solution. Understanding these roles, now we can go forward. And by the way, I have bullet points here. I will have some nice fancy slides in near future. Where your journey starts as architect? We usually speak about technologies, solutions, but being an enterprise solutions architect is more about communications. And your communications always start with understanding the stakeholders and organization around you. Stop thinking about technologies for a moment, because it's not about bringing a good solution. It's not about the solution at all. Technology is not the solution you really need. Forget about technology, because technology is just the key to open the door, but it's not the door. and moreover, maybe it's the wrong door. The right door is business. And to be in touch with business, you are working in an organization. You should understand the structure of this organization. You should understand, put names to faces. Who is responsible for which part of this organization? Stakeholders. Understand your stakeholders. And eventually you start always your work with gathering information, which tells you what is actually happening. In parallel, understanding organization will tell you what is needed, which departments you have, which teams you have, how they are split in hierarchies to sub-teams and sub-organizations, who is responsible for what. Put names to faces, who are the stakeholders, and what really works is the stakeholder management. You may be successful as an architect, not because you know technology better than others. And by the way, there always will be someone who is smarter than you, faster than you, more handsome than you. It's also an option in some companies. But what really works, manage people around you. A successful enterprise level solution architect is also a manager, a technology leader who manages stakeholders, who manages the teams and processes around. Even if you don't build them, you have to manage them. It's a separate topic, which will bring you towards the fact that how do you work with requirements? And the interesting thing is that during my experience, at some point in time, I started to split requirements and expectations. These are two distinct, independent things. Most people, most technology consultants usually speak about requirements and expectations using these words interchangeably like something same, but it's not. Requirements are what is needed. Someone, your stakeholder, who is actually asking you to build the solution is telling you requirements, what is required. From requirements, you may understand which exact features, which exact functional and non-functional requirements there are. However, the problem is sometimes just ask yourself a question: have you been in a situation when you built a solution and it was matching all requirements, but you received a bad feedback? That was not something that was expected. And here you start to think about expectations. Expectations are the vision, especially vision of your stakeholders. A stakeholder or a budget owner or investor or C-level, someone like this, top stakeholders will have their own vision. And the good architect is the person who your job is to take that expectations from the head of your stakeholder and put them on the paper. Based on that, you will hear the requirements and people will tell you, I need this, I need that, I need a website with 5 pages, each page is blah, blah, blah. I need them to open less than in half a second. I want there to be a form which I fill in, click the submit button. As a result, I receive an email. It's all about functions, stories, requirements. But what is the expectation? Not always you receive this information. An expectation is the vision. I envision that when this website will be built, I will advertise it. And as a result, I will receive 1 million users around the world. It will be a virus video on YouTube, which will bring me a big user base. And this user base will get happy because they will be using this website with that round pinky button with a photo of kangaroo on that. These were not on requirements list. As a result, you are risking to build a solution which matches all requirements, but does not match the expectations and aspirations, motivation of that stakeholder that you were speaking to. For this reason, communication is where everything starts. Understanding the organization is where you follow, and managing your stakeholders, your task is to get into their head and get out with information that you did not receive. Expectations. What do they expect? What is their vision? Not requirements. Sometimes requirements and expectations will be conflicting. And here, the good architect takes a product-centric approach where you think about the product, you think about the domain, and bridging requirements and expectations, bring out the conflicts, and start to work on these conflicts together with your stakeholders. Eventually, this is what I call stakeholder management. You manage expectations of your stakeholders and start influencing the decisions and changes made towards requirements. This is where real architecture work starts. And it's not as easy to do as it sounds, just it's a deep thing. Now let's go forward. As a result, you will start doing technical work. And in technical work, there will be challenges. The most interesting challenge that I always see with my different fellows, friends, people I know, is balancing the legacy and modernization. So many times I have seen a very well-known technical expert walking into a room, into a startup or a big project, telling everyone, hey, I will rewrite this code. You have monoliths, I don't care about, or you have classic Spring, I will use Webflux, I will do everything like modern. And these projects almost never be finished. They almost never get to a point where it's a ready solution, because there is always not enough budget to cover everything. There is always not enough time because we need more time. And eventually, oh shit, this solution didn't work as we expected. So the key for a successful architect is always balancing the legacy and modernization. Legacy is something that your stakeholders have already paid for. Your C-level has already invested $1 million or millions of dollars or euros. They already have invested. They have built a solution which works. It's not modern, but why you need to rewrite it? It can be a monolithic application. I have heard many times, I don't want microservices. A CEO told me, why I need everybody keeps continuously telling me, throw it to trash and rewrite everything from scratch to microservices. And I've been in a situation where CEOs really told me that I know microservices is modern, but I don't have that money. I already invested my money. I have a monolithic application. Please make something with it so that it scales for more users. And you have to choose which parts you will leave there as is and which parts you will change a bit in order to match expectations of your stakeholder. Businesses already invested money. They are hard-earned money. They are not willing to build it from scratch because your business stakeholders are not engineers. They don't simply understand the benefit. What they understand is money language. How much money, how much time? And hard truth is that nobody needs your solution if this is purely technical solution. So many times I've been in a situation when somebody tells, I want to use this small database in our project. And the question like, why? Oh, I want to play with it. And guess why? To put this onto my resume that I know this database as well. You can be a developer like that. But when you switch from developer to architecture, you need a big mindset shift. You don't care what is written in your resume. As the architect cares about how to solve the business solution. Your goal is to open the door. With which key? Business don't care. Just open the door. And then you are here having keys as your technology, libraries, frameworks, and tech stacks. The next thing is about zoomable map. I am using here the C4 model example. It's a very small thing, but I realize with years that not every developer, not every technologist actually have heard about it. And it is a very good example. I'm not stating you to use it, just saying that it's a good example, a reference, and only. Every architecture solution, how many times you have seen a document, architecture solution document, one diagram, a lot of text, and then you see, so what? Like, I cannot navigate it. You have to be able to navigate your solution yourself. And moreover, you will share this document with people that will never see you and will never speak to you. They will just receive a PDF version of that document. How they should navigate. Remember about Google Maps or any other maps. It should be zoom in, zoom out. I want to see the whole world. I want to see then a specific country. Then I want to zoom in into and see the specific city. maybe walk through the city, like street view. C4 model is something that brings a interesting approach to the same thing. I usually encourage people to read about it because this is one of the challenges, to see your project from different angles. Usually people can't do it because they do not have a reference how to do it. Read about C4 model, Google about it, and it brings a good maturity model based on which you can just analyze your solution. If you have some architectural documents or thoughts, how mature they were, at which of these levels you are. I will be skipping this slide. I think you will be getting a copy of the slides. Also, this one is taken from the website of C4 model. Again, you can use any model, you can use your own version of that, but it is a good starting point because one of the things is to build the city map of the solution so that you can navigate it and others can navigate it. And it's one of the problems and challenges that we are usually having in different projects. Once all this is sorted out, product over architecture. That's one thing that also I have seen in many years, myself and people were not thinking about. We technologists tend to over-architect. Over-architecting means I'll put here the latest Java. I'll put here the latest framework version. Why? Because it's latest. So what? When you build a product as a real enterprise level solution architect, and by saying enterprises, we mean big companies that are impacting and influencing the world, countries, regions. For instance, just about myself, I am the CTO of a big region with 10 countries and 11,000 people. I cannot build just propose technology solutions. What I have to do is to think about the products of my clients. And when I think about the products of my clients, the main golden rule is product over architecture. It's about strategic alignment. The technical decisions always serve business strategy. Think about time to market, new features and scalability and other expectations. Just time to market can dictate you that you cannot use the latest framework and you cannot use some architectural approaches that you would like to, because they will take longer time to develop and they will take more overhead to support. You have time to market, like in 2 months, this solution goes to production. Marketing and advertisement department already have marketed it. You cannot say no. Your task is to match the business expectation and build that solution because eventually your clients are paying for it. And here we go back to stakeholder management. You can influence these decisions if you build the correct communication lines. But again, did you build that communication lines? Adaptability and longevity of the solution. Again, product over architecture. Sustainable products evolve with market changes and user needs, avoiding constant overhauls. How many times, I believe you also have seen solutions where, for instance, there was even a saying like 10 years ago, any normal application solution is the solution that have been overhauled and re-architected 3 or 4 times. Well, yes or no? What do you think, guys? By the way, there is a comments section and you can leave some comments and questions, which I will be glad to answer. But is it yes or no? It's yes and no at the same time. At one point in time, you have to re-architect some things because there were so many changes. On the other side, you could build your architecture in a modular fashion, in a way so that it's so much modular that it's possible to maintain it, update it, and upgrade it without big overhaul, big re-architecture. It's possible. It's hard to achieve, but it's possible, definitely, yes. And eventually, as we talked about legacy and modernization, it will be about optimal balance. You will never have a clear yes or clear no, and you will never have a 100% result if you don't go to optimization, and optimization not of the solution, but your decisions and your solutions. There should be a balance. It's always about a balance aligned with strategic goals. Then autonomous teams. Independent teams can innovate more rapidly than non-autonomous teams. It's about improving speed of delivery. It's about working within limited boundaries. There are many different solutions, and I'm not speaking about microservices or clouds. There are so many solutions in this world for IoT, hardware embedded, robotics, like physical AI and related things. There are so many things around, and an architect have to deal with all of this. Even if you are a Java guy and you become a solution architect in a big enterprise, for instance, like me, I'm not a Java guy anymore. For the last 5 years, I've been doing anything and everything. I've been working with robotics. I've been working with embedded systems. I've been working with AI. I was never an AI machine learning guy. I was never a hardware robotics guy. I never touched at all to embedded. But this is my last 5 years. I have to deal with this. And as an architect, you are going to go through this transformation yourself as well. And will you survive it and bring these transformations and innovation further? And it will bring chaos. And your task also to reduce this chaos. And in a product, again, chaos can be reduced if you prevent architecturally wrong decisions. Again, product over architecture. You have to think about the product you are building. Once all this mindset shift happens, now it's time for the tools. And the tools, again, they are not technology tools. The tools you will be using, first of all, are about technology principles. A good tool I have learned somewhere around 7 years ago was architecture review board. That situation when every senior developer walks into a room and says, I will be using this library. I will be using that library. Okay, today I'm going also to integrate that framework. I've been in a situation when a big smart city solution, after production release, could not be shipped to the client. The company which was selling it could not sign the contract and finalize it because some open source libraries that were part of some frameworks used to build that solution, and it was Java-based, had license agreements that do not allow you to ship that final deployment as a package to your client. You can host it SaaS as software as a service, but you cannot sell it as like operating system on disk drive. But that was the case. The whole deployment as a Docker container had to be sold to the client, not software as a service, but sold to the client. It was not possible because of legal stuff. European Union, United States, other regions, they have compliance and regulations in different business domains. And you cannot be aware of every and each license, but some companies even do audits of which versions of which libraries and frameworks have which dependencies, at which version of each dependency, that hierarchy of dependencies, and are they allowed or not. An architect should always keep a control of what is happening, what has been used, which solutions, especially we're speaking about enterprise solutions role. And the solutions that an architect brings should be predictable. As an architect, you don't want to find yourself in a situation when there was the production release and the next thing you learn that it's not possible to sell this solution. Who's wrong? The architect is wrong, as we already discussed. So your task is 2 words: make it controllable, make it predictable. And an architecture review board is a specific control that it can be one person or many people. Any decisions by any engineer in team before they are incorporated into code have to be reviewed by the architecture review board. Then every engineer has to prove what are the benefits and drawbacks and what are the alternatives for that solution to compare. Based on that comparison, the architecture review board, who consists usually of architects in your company, will take a final decision. Are we allowed to use this, or we decide, no, we're not going to do this? By the way, software developers may be unhappy with this because they are sad. Somebody didn't allow me to use the new database I wanted to play with. Go home and play at home. This is your lab. At work, you are working. Anything you do is bought. We're paying you for your work. It's not your homework. It belongs to the company. This is business, and architects are supporting the business, not developers, not engineering, but business. By innovating, by bringing technology solutions, but you are supporting business. You are building products. And it always is beneficial to build a set of principles which everybody will follow, a special architecture review board. As an example of that principles, I can tell you one simple thing that I also like. For instance, we're in era of cloud native solutions. And one of the principles could be that any software component we are using in our application, this is an example, a reference example. Any software component we're using or any platform we're going to use in our application should be cloud first. If we're using one cloud vendor, this application or component have to be provided by that cloud vendor. Then, if this cloud vendor that we're using is not delivering a similar application, next, we're looking in the marketplace of that cloud vendor. Is there a ready component that does this work? If there is nothing there, so first SaaS native, then SaaS in marketplace. Second, infrastructure as a service. We can build this component only if it does not exist there. And before building, we also take a ready solution from open source and host it there. If there is nothing ready by open source, then we can build it. So you have 4 steps. Use SaaS first cloud native. No option, use SaaS first from marketplace. No option, then use something open source deployed to your infrastructure. No option, let's build it custom. These kind of principles help you to keep a control and make predictions, like in which cases, what and how will work. Once you set up your principles, set your review boards. Now, the good question for me, it will be on the next slide, but before we jump there, is the architecture quality attributes. And I like this small set of 12 core quality attributes. I'm not going to read through this. You can just read while I'm speaking, but you all know them. We spoke about so many things, including review boards for architecture. And in many cases, I have seen that, and I've been in that cases, that you have stakeholders, you have various people working with you, your counterparts from other teams, countries, cities, regions, and everybody has their own opinion. At some point in time, we architects find ourselves in a position when we start to box with them. Like, you're boxing, my solution is better, my idea is good, my decision is correct, and they tell, no, mine is good. And you start to go back and forth, you start to get nervous, like, no, I know that this works, but why do they don't want to hear me? In such situations, I usually, first I did it myself, and when it worked several times, I start to advise to others that invite a third person, not a person, but entity, architecture quality attributes. Instead of boxing with your stakeholders, put their architecture quality attributes and let them box with those attributes, because there are a few golden rules here, actually 2. Architecture quality attributes is something you cannot argue with. I can argue with you, you can argue with me, but you cannot argue with quality attributes. They are almost written and carved in stone. That's how technology works. You cannot do anything with that. You cannot argue with them. This is how it works. The second thing is every attribute brings you a separate story, but within a system, you never want to follow all attributes. It's not possible. Just like CAP theorem and many other things, it's not possible to reach consensus for all attributes. You usually take top three priority attributes. Sometimes it can be 4. It's harder, but it's possible. 3 to 4, mostly 3. Top priority architects. You tell your stakeholders, okay, here are your quality attributes. And by the way, this is my story, 12 attributes. You can take some ISO standard. It's 14 or 16, but they all fall into the same bucket of classic from 90s 12 quality attributes. They are same. And I usually tell my stakeholders, okay, here are all quality attributes. We can describe all of them for your system. What are your priorities? Tell me your priorities. Top 3 quality attributes for each component in the system, not the whole system, for each separate subsystem, microservice, SOAP service, or I don't know, IoT device adapter. For each separate component, give me what is your top 3 priority attributes for that part of the system. As a whole, the system eventually will cover all quality attributes, but each separate component has to have top 3 priorities. And you build the system based on that top 3 priorities. That removes all boxing stuff and all argues. You do not have to argue. Here are your priorities, and we brought the solution that applies your top priority quality attributes. That were your expectations and requirements. That's it. Nothing to argue with. After this, the most overlooked topic is strategic thinking. It's not soft skills still, but it's already going towards that part. A enterprise level solution architect also have to think about strategically, where is our company? For instance, on the technology maturity curve, even you can understand where are we? Are we a conservative company? Are we a, I don't know, innovator company like visionaries or technology enthusiasts, or are we just pragmatics? For instance, if you are developing a large language model right now, you will be somewhere in between innovators. And then if you are using these models for your work, you can be some kind of early adopter if you are building a startup using some ready models. If you are a service company, you will definitely be somewhere in between pragmatists and conservatives, and your best bet is to be a pragmatist using the modern technology, because otherwise, if you are telling, I don't believe in AI, I will continue using only my old school things, and this AI is all just a hype and mess, it will be forgotten at some point in time, you are in the bucket of conservatives and maybe skeptics. If technology goes forward and you are wrong, you will be lost. If technology goes right, you will be lost. If technology goes wrong, you may be right, but are you ready to risk the whole your business and whole your money earning capacity? I don't think that you are ready to risk that. And for this, you have to think about what is your architecture strategy based on the technology curve that is demonstrated on this slide. What is your development strategy? Which tools you will be using? What is your compliance regulations related stuff based on your industry? And we will speak about it a bit later. Bill of materials, licensing things, like I already mentioned in my example with Smart City. Global deployment strategy. If you are developing an application which is deployed to different regions, countries, across oceans, not all regions will have same cloud. Even if they have, not all regions will have same applications of the same version. Some payment gateways will not be available in some countries and regions, and so on. Some legal restrictions, some sovereignty restrictions. You have to also have a deployment strategy, how and what is deployed, and then which versions, which editions of the same microservices in parallel. And there will be many, for instance, car manufacturer that deploys a smart car, which is connected to cloud. And when it works in China and in a European Union country, it can be connected to different clouds. Why not? There will not be same gateways, same platforms, same solutions. And it's a global deployment strategy, also a global DevOps pipeline, not only CI/CD, but a global thing, how it works. An architect should also think about this strategy so that you do not find yourself in a situation when you cannot roll out an update for some country because it's not possible in that country. But your clients may be from anywhere at some point in time, even from countries that you did not expect. And vendor lock versus vendor agnostic, a forever topic which never ends. Which is good or which is bad, nobody knows. Both solutions really work, and there will always be companies that follow this or that. Again, it's about balance. Think about the strategy. Learn about what is the strategy at all. Just Google strategy meaning. And then, when speaking about strategy, the most important thing is data management and data monetization. Today, many businesses are speaking and thinking about monetizing that data. Bigger enterprises have collected so much data that they may not need it, but now they have all this data from everybody around the world, and they collected it. It's a database, a big data powerhouse that you can monetize, analyze, predict some things, and even sell this data, do whatever you want, but you can monetize this data. And to monetize data, you have to go through data platformization, which was part of the digital transformation initiatives like 5 to 10 years ago. But today, with all that AI development, AI does not work without data platforms. We are going back to data platformization, connecting various data sources, having the platform processing, delivering data lakes, data warehouses, various data marts. You have their data quality, data security, data compliance requirements, data access types that you can deliver, and then data consumption with different types of consumers. You have to think about the data strategy, how you platformize it, how data collection works, how data retention works, what are the data classification rules, how do you do the governance, and then even sovereignty. With all this geopolitical mess happening all around the world, more and more countries and regions start to speak about cloud sovereignty, data sovereignty, so that you are working with your data and compute within this limited jurisdiction and limited physical geographical boundaries, so that everything is under control of your country law, for instance. And based on that now, by the way, my beloved example with data is the fact that your solutions are about data. Software applications doesn't matter. They will die. We will die. Everybody will forget these software applications. You can throw and build it from scratch anytime you want. Today's technology allows you just generate the code and you have the new version of the same application. What is persistent and what is resident is your data. Any solution you build is about data. You either access data yourself or provide access to that data to others. And that's it. Everything is about data. So think about how you will be managing and working with data, and eventually in big enterprises also monetize this data as a result of your work. Your solution will be mostly about this. And this brings you to the key understanding of the enterprise solutions architect role. This role is not about technology solutions. This role is about industry solutions. On this slide, with a blue color, I have outlined a few, named a few industries, business domains, and then with the rest of the slide, I have laid out architectural patterns, software architecture, solution architecture patterns. Now, it can be wrong. I'm not stating that this is the right. First of all, it doesn't contain everything. It is just something that I immediately remembered, popped out from my head. And I structured it not the way people do it, but the way I see it. I see it this way. I can do. Why I can't do? You can do your own version. The main goal here is that with every architectural pattern, first of all, more is never enough. Learn as much architectural patterns as you can. More is good, more is better, and is never enough. Learn and learn and learn patterns, apply them. But with any pattern, think about in which business domain you are going to apply this pattern. And once you, okay, let me speed up a little bit. And once you define the rules of specific business domain, you will understand that which patterns work or not. For instance, let's take an example of healthcare domain. In healthcare, you can have three types of solutions. Pure software solutions that do not harm to anyone, like patient cards, clinic cards, applications, and so on, or data warehouses, for instance. You can have, number two, a solution that can harm a person, MRIs and other analysis, like X-rays and other type of hardware, which also has software component, and developers usually code this, and architects like us develop it. But eventually, if you do something wrong in your software component, you can harm a person. And number three is the type of solution that can kill a person, a defibrillator. A defibrillator also has a software component, and there are smart defibrillators, but if something is wrong with that software, it can just kill people. And based on that, in healthcare domain, there are levels of classifications, requirements, and let's call it, it's not tiers, it's basically certifications. Certifications of which company can produce which type of 1 to 3 applications. And if you're not certified for the number 3, you cannot produce a defibrillator or another solution that can kill a person. You have to go through certifications. And an architect should also keep this in mind to deliver solutions using the patterns that will bring you the best effort and solution that really will work. If you take their microservices and it will not work, a defibrillator is a software on hardware. Microservices don't work there, but it's still a software solution that an architect delivers. So that was my example. Always think about business domain and map your patterns and best practices to the business domain specifics. Not everything works for every domain. And then soft skills, the last point. Here on slide, I put a list of soft skills that I personally follow usually. First of all, it's about sharing information, documentation, and presentation. Architects' work is always about communication. You are either writing the documentation and sharing it, or presenting something in slides. You have to be able to write good documents, and ChatGPT or other AI will not help you. I stopped using ChatGPT for writing my documents. Instead, I hired a tutor on a language learning platform to get better in my languages. I know 6 languages, and I learn in cycle throughout the year every of them to make sure that I can read documentation and write documentation when necessary. Understanding people, psychology. I like the social behavior styles. It's a small thing, not very precise, but Google it. It will tell you about how our brain works, what types of people there are, and analyzing yourself and other people, how you can build a strategy to communicate with that people so that they hear you. Build the approach. Our brain is also a software. Meta programs, it's from NLP domain. I don't like NLP, but meta programs by itself is just an analysis, how your brain is programmed. When we were born like pure white paper. But during your growth, culture, environment, you have been programmed to do such things. Like, for instance, a meta program is a set of rules how your brain works. Are you a processual person, or are you a result-oriented person? If you are immediately hearing me and going to do something, you are a result-oriented people. If you are hearing me and thinking about, okay, how should I apply it, and think about how to build a process so that people in your company will start to follow this, you are a process-oriented person, maybe result-oriented. So there are the details of that. And meta programs are very easy. You can easily read people depending on how they speak to you, how they behave, and you can understand who is who, basically, and build an approach that is best for communicating with these people. Rapport, building connection and trust with people based on their and yours values, culture, and many other things. Then perception channels. We hear things differently. Some of us hear better when you perceive. We receive information. Some of us receive information better when they are hearing it. Audiobooks, for instance, or presentations. Some of us receive information and memorize it better if we read it. Some better understand numbers. Some better understand if you punch them. Joking. So effective communication is not about just to share the document. The fact is that most people around you, whatever today you are listening to me, for example, I bet after this meeting, after this presentation, you will remember 50% of what we have discussed here. Tomorrow, after you sleep and wake up, you will forget another 80%. And after a week, you will remember only 5% or maybe maximum 10% overall what we have discussed here. It's about the communication style. If you communicate things in a style that people understand it better, they will memorize more. Read about perception channels. Storytelling, a separate technology. Technology with no technology. Engage audience. Your audience should desire to listen to you. If they don't want to hear you, nobody will listen to you. And as an architect, you have to engage audience, tell interesting stories. And the result is that all of this together will also help you in the territory of negotiations, because as an architect, you have to reach an agreement, reach consensus with your stakeholders, with co-workers, other architects, with engineering teams, with managers, with other functions like marketing, finance, anything. And as a result, this architect's work environment consists of all of these components. And in a big enterprise, you will always work with stakeholders. You have to understand and manage their expectations. You should navigate the organization, know how to navigate through this. Start learning who are around. Your project is not only about the team you are working with. Your project is about the whole company, which is much bigger than that. The product, understand the landscape, the domain, navigate the product, C4 model, read about it, apply similar principles. Technology, define technological principles. How do you standardize and govern technological decisions so that there is no zoo of technologies in your project? Or there is a zoo of technology because it needs it. Quality attributes. Priorities will deliver an answer to any argument. If somebody is boxing with you, arguing with you, deliver quality attributes, ask them to prioritize 3 or 4 of them, and build the solution based on that. You will have no problems with anyone at all. Strategy, the most overlooked topic, like my example with global deployment strategy or technology adoption curve. Think about what is your strategy. If you don't have any strategy, you may lose the game. Think about it. And data management. Data is what matters, not apps. Everything is about data. Nowadays, it was about data 10 years ago, even 20 years ago. Maybe you didn't realize it. Now you know it. Patterns and approaches. As we said, more is never enough, but always focus on business domain and soft skills. You work with people, not computers. If you are going to be an architect, you are going to be an architect working with people. Computers are just a compute machine. And to finalize today's speech, a small note of love to myself. I have put all this knowledge into a small book, which is released and being sold on Amazon. This is my contribution to bigger, wider community, because I'm moving to management. I understand that my mentorship program really worked for 20, 30 people throughout the years. And some of them become really global leaders. Some become very rich people with opening their own products. Some even sold their solutions to Google and become part of Google. Some grow in our current company. Because I'm moving towards management, and I will be stopping working with technology at some point in time, I decided to put all my mentorship program into a shape of a single book that I can share with everybody. And here is the QR code. You can take a look if you are interested. Guys, I'm done. Thank you for listening. Now, do we have any questions?
Yeah, first of all, great. Thanks a lot, Orkhan, for such an interesting talk today. And thank you for sharing your expertise and such a valuable insights. I hope everyone who joined today found something interesting and useful for their career and for their path as an engineer in any milestone in their career. And yeah, now it's time for a Q&A session, and we have a bunch of questions.
By the way, Oleg, do we have time for questions? Maybe I took a bit longer than I had to.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. We don't have that specific time frame, so
let's go then. Tell me which questions are most interesting.
Let's start from the beginning. And
by the way, may I answer one question? I immediately see here one question that I really like. It says, sure. As an architect, how do you think about technical debt? Some argue it's really friction. It doesn't cost you anything until you need to change your scale. I had a mentorship today in the morning. We were speaking about this. Technical debt, do you remember that slide about, about control and predictability, technology principles? Technical debt is something that you can control and predict. In some cases, depending on your business domain, you may make a decision because of various limitations, like we have to go to production in 2 months. We have to deal with only a team of 5 people. We do not have budget more. If we will not go to production, we will not be able to earn more money or receive investment. You may have to balance legacy and modernization, all that stuff. If you take it into consideration, you can have controlled and predictable technical debt. Go for it, because sometimes, as we said, product over architecture, it matters if you will release the product to receive next portion of investment. If you will not receive investment, nobody cares about your technical debt. But if you will release the product, take product over architecture, product-centric approach, and finalize it, you will receive further investment, and you can estimate your technical debt in that investment and step by step fix it.
Yeah, thank you. And by the way, it was a question from my side. I just recently read some interesting topic about the technical debt, that it's not everything is a debt, because something just sits here, but it works. And it doesn't block you from changing something or to ship new feature. But as soon as it affects, I know, deployment or introducing new feature, it's a debt, because debt is something you should pay off eventually. Yeah.
And by the way, let's be honest, where everybody here, me, you, Oleg, other guys, all of us are doing this. I mean, the technology work for earning money. Let's be honest with ourselves. If somebody will tell that I'm doing because I love it, let's put this person for 1 year into my project, and I'll ask this person to work free for me. Will that person do it? 8 hours per day free, because that person loves technology? Nobody will do it. We're doing this because it's our work. We're earning money to live, to pay for our lives, to pay for our family, to be happy. And based on this rule, same works for projects. Technical debt or no technical debt, who cares? What we care about is that, will you receive further funding? If there will be no funding, nobody cares about technical debt. There will be no prolongation of this project. There will be no project further. So if we want to continue the project, to deliver the product, it can be controllable and predictable technical debt. That's about it.
Yeah, true. Totally agree with you. Thank you. And we can switch to the beginning, of question list, and we have question from Yulia Boyko. What technology or design trend do you think is overhyped right now?
Definitely AI is overhyped, but not because of technology. I really love the fact, when you go to market, I am hiring a lot of people every month, so many people, so many interviews, like constantly, tens, if you look through the year, even maybe hundreds of people hired. And whenever there is a technology hyped like AI nowadays, you always see that salary compensation requests going high. Like I want $1 million of USD every month. And this is the problem I see, because, and most of the cases, that's related directly to that fact. The market is overhyped, and this makes this brings the problem that you receive a person that desires more money, but not always they have the necessary knowledge. And it is a risk for company, because it's not about you, me, or someone else hiring these people, but the problem that someone will hire these people, and they will build a solution, and we will be using these solutions. Maybe we will not be happy with these solutions. It's a cycle. So from technology perspective, I would say anything related to AI is overhyped at this moment. That does not mean that this technology is wrong. Sorry, that does not mean that technologically this is a correct thing. I'm not saying that it's wrong, but the hype is there. At the same time, if you are working with AI, at some point in time, I believe that anything related to AI will become an API. We will be not using machine learning or developing rags to customize things. We will be just using APIs, and any developer will be an AI developer, just using some API for a model and doing the job. At that point in time, AI will be everywhere. At this moment, it's a hype. Everybody's speaking about it, but it's not everywhere. And memorize one thing. We, you, me, we are among the 5% of people in the world that are understanding how this thing works. We understand why there is no intelligence. We understand why it can be called almost a statistical model or something like this.
Yeah.
And by the way, all around the world, everybody speaks about it, and 95% even don't get the idea. They don't understand what is it. They can't even use it. So you are around 5% of the people on our planet that really can use this technology, because we know how this thing works. So because of this, it's a hype, and everybody, like in movies, they're speaking about AI everywhere, and it's a closed cycle. The rest of the technologies, I would say, besides AI, well, everything is like as always.
Yeah, and eventually it probably become a regular thing, as you mentioned, API or something that you just use within your architecture. Yeah. Thank you, Orkhan. And we have the next question from Mike. It's question with two parts. First part, we often hear language is just a tool, but realistically, can an architect be effective without deep expertise in at least one ecosystem like JVM, Node.js, or Golang?
Yes, that's yeah. I didn't cover this point, but I usually repeatedly tell to anybody I work with, especially more not so senior engineers, that you can become an architect from a QA. You can grow as an architect from a product owner, and we have that kind of people. But you will never be a super technical leader if you were not a developer. That's why I mentioned in the very beginning that I had 15 years of hands-on experience. I worked with backend. I worked at work as a backend engineer, as Java developer. I also did front-end engineering. I did my own solutions with React and Angular. Eventually choose only one of them, which one I prefer. I worked with databases. I had big data experience. I didn't work never as a DevOps, but I have experience with clouds and deploying my own solutions, deploying even on bare Linux machines. So you have to be a coder in order to, just like AI, to understand how this thing works. You have to build similar things. And Mike, you are correct. But then, with respect to others, still there are good enough architects who has grown out of QAs and product owners and other roles. The difference will be, for instance, myself. I see sometimes architects that know all patterns and apply them, being very smart with knowing the business domain and so on. But will you be able to work with other engineers knowing what exactly they are doing? That people in most cases don't do that. QAs, automations especially, are good at that because they are also coders. Let me joke about it this way. But yes, you have to be an expert professional in many languages, I would say, not only one language. You should know 10 languages in order to be able to build that. For instance, I never used Python. I don't know Python even today. Everybody knows it. I never use it because I lost that time. I become an architect and then a manager when Python already came in. But I know Java. I used Clojure. I used JavaScript, TypeScript, many other, PHP, .NET even used. 6 months in my lifetime, I built SOAP services on .NET, C# without knowing that language before. So yes, you have to be a language polyglot. That's the best ideal candidate for a application software architect. And then you can grow to solution and enterprise architecture.
Indeed, yeah, that's a good point. And let's jump to second part of this question. When you hire or assess architects, are you looking for that T-shape, deep in one area, broad in others?
In this question, just like I mentioned in the soft skills meta program section, I'm a process-oriented people. When I hire architects, I first, myself, I am the last person in the chain usually to speak to them, and I'm number 3 or number 4 interviewer usually. Before that, I ask technology experts to interview these guys. I receive a technologist feedback with the same tech stack. I receive recruitment intro meeting result, feedback from recruiters, feedback from technologists, and maybe even feedback from engineering team management. And as a final step, I usually look towards there are two different roles. This can be a person in one project, or this can be a person in my CTO team, for instance. And depending on this, I'm looking towards soft skills, thinking process. When I hire, I always prefer people who are quick learners, and there are ways to understand if a person is a quick learner or no, with some control questions, because I am also a human. I can be wrong, but I usually prefer people who can learn fast instead of people who knows more. Uh, that's my rule basically. But I don't do technical interviews for the last 5 years or so. Yeah, I usually receive feedback from others, and based on that, take decisions, and look forward for receiving a understanding of a person in front of me who will be comfortable to work and grow with me. That's what I look for.
Yeah, thank you. And the last question, pretty interesting. What the worst architecture decision you ever seen?
Give me 20 seconds. Like in that poker championships. Give me 30 seconds. I need to
Sure.
think about it. The worst architecture decision. I think I have one example. Well, I have a lot of things popping out in my mind, really a lot of examples that can be bad. Maybe one thing, if I consider it worst, would be the worst architecture decision is to deny evolution of technology and stick to the same patterns and approaches you used over years, because I have seen many times people following the same approach, same pattern, using their knowledge. For example, I had a colleague of mine 12 years, 13 years ago, a person that passed examples and certifications of Java Enterprise, Java EE. And that person was arguing like, I don't need Spring. I don't believe in Spring. Like, what the fuck is that Spring? Like, I know Java Enterprise. And after 1 year in 2014, Spring Boot and Spring Cloud take over everything, and Java Enterprise was not needed anywhere. That person, after 5 or more years, we met with that person, and that person was telling, I'm a Spring engineer now. The worst decision an architect can take is to skip the technology evolution. You have to be aligned with technology. Even today, I'm more a manager, but I'm always on the edge of any technology. Yes, I can't develop it myself, like an example with Python. I don't write code in Python. I don't know Python. I don't know machine learning, but I know machine learning. I know Python. Always keep your knowledge up to date, at least at the level of best practices, at the level of trade-off analysis, and at the level of understanding of the technology from inside. Even if you don't write production code, you can take a 10-hour training and a 2-hour lab and develop a hello world in that specific technology. I did it with Python, I did it with machine learning and with LLMs, but I'm not a Python or machine learning or Gen AI engineer by myself.
Yeah, true. So guys, always keep aligned with the latest technologies and do not stick with something that you just learned and use it everywhere. Yeah, it's too biased opinion.
Thank you.
It wasn't the last one. We have one more question. This is the last one. How do you handle situations where there are no right answer, just trade-offs? Also pretty interesting question.
Architecture quality attributes. Between all these quality attributes, there is always a trade-off. For instance, performance versus security. That two attributes were on my slide. You want bigger performance, security will always make it slower. If you want more security, you have to sacrifice a bit performance. And then you take any of these quality attributes, any two of them in any pair, they will always have a conflict somewhere. You will resolve that conflict with various solutioning patterns, and maybe sometimes even anti-patterns. They also can bring benefit, by the way. And as a result, the right answer there cannot be right answer sometimes. But with the trade-off, do you remember about priorities? Set priorities. Which quality attributes are a priority for your product, or which features of the product are priority for production release? For instance, there is no right answer in case if you do not have enough time for production. You just don't have enough time. Remember how project management solves this problem. Scope out something. What is in scope? What's out of scope? So it's about balance. When there are no right answers and only trade-offs, prioritize things, just like in quality attributes. Pick your top 3 priorities, and based on that, just do the work. Don't think about it, is it good or bad? Just do the work. A very good, actually great advice I have received from one of our senior vice presidents in headquarters in United States a few years ago, 5 years ago. I become a director in my division, and I asked, like, I'm an architect moving towards a management, like, give me an advice. And he told me, remember, sometimes faster decisions are better than right decisions. Make a decision fast, you will get a result. If that was wrong, you will take another decision. But fast decisions bring you to faster results.
Great, thank you. And it was finally, yeah, it was the last one. Thanks a lot, guys, for your questions. And Orkhan, thank you for the deep answers and insightful answers. And again, many thanks for presenting such a great presentation and sharing your experience and knowledge. Yeah, it was
Thank
really
you, guys.
great.
And organization committee, I do apologize. I took a bit longer. Maybe I eat up time of next speaker. So sorry for that, guys. That was not intentionally. And thank you.
No, you're only star for today's event. So yeah, all stage is yours today. So thank you, and guys, want to again remind, don't forget to support Armed Forces of Ukraine, and you can find QR code here on the screen, and also you can navigate to Help a Hero website or CoffeeJug to find the information about this fundraising. So any donation matters, and if you miss that live stream, no worries, you can rewatch it later and ask questions maybe in comments, and hopefully Orkhan can find the time to answer. So yeah, thanks everyone who joined, and thank you again, Orkhan. See you.